Welcome to another edition of Family Life with Mama Rita. If you are on with me, God bless you. You are going to enjoy this evening. What to do when you are courting? What to do when you are courting? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Family Life with Mama Rita. I have discovered that the reason why marriages collapse, couples divorce, and people have dysfunctional families is because they go through faulty courtship period. I said, I have discovered that the reason why marriages collapse, couples divorce, and people have dysfunctional families is because they go through faulty courtship period. In the past 2 weeks, we have been discussing what not to do when you are courting. Today, we will be looking at what to do during courtship. In the last 2 weeks, we kept mentioning courtship. I want to make sure everybody is on the same page with me. So we want to look at what courtship is. Christian courtship is the period or gap between when the lady says yes to a marriage proposal from a gentleman, and when they get married. Let me take it again. What is courtship? Christian courtship is the period or gap between when a lady says yes to a marriage proposal from a gentleman and when they get married. Courtship is undertaken only when both parties are prepared to make a commitment to marry or a commitment to marriage. I hope you heard me well. Courtship is undertaken only when both parties are prepared to make a commitment to marriage. Courtship is a relationship between a man and a woman in which they seek to determine if it is God's will for them to marry each other. So courtship is a period to determine whether their relationship or the marriage is God's will. Courtship is also a period to really find out if the two of you are meant for each other. The Bible says, Courtship is the period to really find out if the two of you are meant for each other or if the two are compatible. And the Bible says that can two walk together except they agree. So there's no way you can get into marriage if you are not compatible or if you are not meant for each other. Listen carefully. If during the courtship, one or both parties realize that entering into marriage is not the will of God, you can end the relationship with the help of your pastor or your counselor. At the close of this series, we will look at how to end a courtship. By close of this episode, we will look at how to end courtship. A lot of you do not know how to end courtship. We will look at that. At this juncture, people would want to know the difference between courtship and dating. I keep mentioning courtship, courtship, courtship. And I'm sure people are wondering, what is the difference between courtship and dating? And I want you to listen carefully. Number one, dating and courtship are two ways of beginning relationship with the opposite sex. Dating and courtship are two ways of beginning relationship with the opposite sex. Number two, dating is step one of the relationship, and courtship is step two of the road to marriage. Dating is step one, and then courtship is step two. My first point, I said dating and courtship are two ways of beginning a relationship with the opposite sex. Number three, I want you to listen carefully. Number three, dating is a little more than friendship. Dating is a little more than friendship. And the friendship is maintained or can be maintained until both parties are ready to commit to each other as potential marriage partners. Dating is a little more than friendship, and the friendship is maintained until both parties are ready to commit to each other as potential marriage partners. So, in other words, the first stage is dating, and then when you decide that now you want to move from the friendship stage to a more serious stage, then you enter stage two of the relationship called courtship. Number four, courtship is the higher form of relationship. It is the period that is closer to the real marriage. And dating is the period before courtship. So I hope you understand. I know that when it comes to the question time, people will be asking me courtship and dating. I have explained to you. Dating is stage one, and then courtship is stage two. Dating is the friendship part, and courtship is when you want to get more serious. And courtship is closer to the marriage. Now, what do you do during courtship? What do you do during courtship? What do you do during courtship? And I want you to listen very well. As much as you can, make notes. Even if you are not ready to get married now, it is good to know it, so when you are ready, you have your apport already. What do you do during courtship? Number one, after the dating, after the stage one, when you realize that you have known her, you have built your relationship, and now you want to get more serious. In other words, you want to now marry. You have proposed to her officially. Now what you do is, you have entered into courtship. What do you do? One, introduce yourselves to your pastor or your pastors. Your pastor if you belong to the same church, or to your pastors if you belong to separate churches. So you introduce yourself to your pastor or your pastors, and then you introduce yourself to church leadership. Church is your spiritual family. Church is your spiritual family. It is very important for the church to know you are in a relationship. It is important for the church to know. Maybe the gentleman has proposed to somebody else and is in courtship with somebody else. If you make your relationship known, the church can help you and say, the last time he came to introduce Sister A to us, he hasn't told us. He's broken the relationship with Sister A, so they will go into it. Another reason why you need to let the church know first. We've handled a lot of cases where individuals told parents about their relationship first before telling the church, and their family or the parents said no with no reason. If you tell us first before you tell the parents or you tell your family, in case of anything, in case your family will be difficult in the choice of the person you chose, we can step in and then talk on your behalf. So I hope you understand. So number one, introduce yourself to your pastor or your pastors if you belong to different churches, and then to the church leadership. Number two, what do you do during courtship? It is time to introduce each other to both parents. There can be no courtship when your parents don't know about it. There can be no courtship. I handled this during the red flags, and I mentioned stashing, which means that the man is not ready to introduce you to his family, or the lady is not ready to introduce you to her family, or sometimes not even ready to introduce you to friends. My darling, as long as there has been no introduction, official introduction to the families, it means that courtship hasn't started. You are still dating. So there is no serious courtship when you haven't met each other's parents and siblings if they are in a close family. I want you to listen. Building a strong relationship with each other's close family deepens the bond between you. Introducing yourselves to the family, to the parents, to siblings, and having a close relationship with them deepens the bond between the two of you. It is very important. So courtship is when you should meet and spend time with each other's family. If you haven't started this, then you are in stage one of the relationship. And I mentioned stage one of the relationship is dating. Is dating. Dating is the friendship stage. Number three, start writing your questions. Start sending your questions. Number three, what do you do during courtship? What do you do during courtship? Number one, introducing yourselves to your pastor or your pastors. Number two, introducing yourselves to both parents and to siblings. Number 3, it is time to know and meet each other's friends. It is very important. It is time to meet each other's friends. If there are. If the person doesn't even have one friend, my darling, you need to raise your eyebrow. If the person doesn't, the whole world, he went to nursery 1, nursery 2, or went to kindergarten. It's a black flag. And the person went to class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. Class 6, SS1, 2, 3. The person is in the university or done with university and doesn't even have one friend to introduce to you, my darling. It's a black flag. So this is the time to go public with your relationship, my darling. I mentioned it during the red flags. If the person doesn't want to introduce you to friends, my darling, it is stashing. It is a signboard. Getting to know the most important people in each other's lives gives you an insight into who the other person really is. We say that show me your friend and I will show you your character. Sometimes it is true. When you get to meet your friends, you get to know exactly who your partner is or what he stands for. Number 4. Number 4. Meet your counselors. What do you do during courtship? It is not time for sex. It is not time for cooking together. It is not time for spending weekends. Meet your counselors and start courting. I hope the single ones are listening to me and start counseling. Meet your counselors and start counseling. Don't wait too late before you start counseling. It's important to start early so your counselors will get to know you very well. Once your counselors know you very well, they'll be able to have a tailor-made counseling for you. We have the counseling material already, but I want you to know that in spite of the counseling material that we have, in spite of all the topics that we have, couples can be different. Couples can be different. One party of the couple can be very chisel. It calls for attention. We need to handle it during counseling. One person can be unforgiving. Though we talk about forgiveness during counseling, we have to really go into it. One person grew up in a compound house, and one person grew up in a typical Dadabi area. One person is a typical Ejabi, and one person is a typical Dadabi. We need to look at all these things. One person is an only child. One person grew up with 4 other siblings or 3 other siblings. We need to look at all these things. One person is an only girl. The other person is an only boy. My darling, all these things will call for attention when you are doing the counseling. So though we handle how to live with your in-laws or how to relate with your in-laws, my darling, relating with an in-law with somebody who comes from a family of 4 is different from somebody who is an only child. You must know that an only child will be the attention of the mother. So these are things we need to look at. So that is why it is very, very important to start your counseling very early. I know people will be asking me, how early is early? I'm waiting for that question. So it is good to start your counseling early, so your counselors will get to know you very well, and then they will tailor make the counseling for you, so that we don't rush through the counseling, because we are saying that this topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, we just rush through it. We don't look at your peculiar issues. Premarital counseling usually makes for a more successful marriage. Usually, premarital counseling usually makes for a more successful marriage, because they get to know what to expect during the marriage. A lot of the things that should be expected are discussed during the counseling. Number 2, if you go to the counseling sections and you don't hide things, and you open up and you talk and you ask questions, any foreseen problem will be solved. It is time to handle your differences and to iron out your differences. Remember that you were not born together. You were not born in the same home. Even siblings from the same home, trained by the same parents, have differences. Friends from the same school, they went to the same primary school, went to the same SSS, went to the same university, even have issues. So as long as you were not born by the same parents, same neighborhood, same whatever, you will have differences. So the counseling is a time to handle your differences. And during the counseling, what we do is we prepare you psychologically and emotionally. You see certain couples, they are married, but you can tell that they weren't prepared before they got married. The man is still tied to the mother's apron strings. Everything, mother, everything, ma, everything, ma, everything, dada, everything. If they have to give you chop money, they will ask their mother. If they have to buy you a cloth, they will ask their mother. If they have to buy you a car, they will ask. So these are the things that we handle during courtship, during counseling. Number 5, prayer. I hope you heard me. Prayer. What should you do during counseling? My darling, during courtship. Courtship is not the time to go and wash his things. We handled it last week. It's not the time to go and tidy up his room. It's not the time to warm up his bed. It is time for prayer. Everybody say prayer. I've remembered when I was a Sunday school teacher. There can be no courtship without prayer. There can be no courtship, my darling, without prayer. You can start with 30 minutes of prayer. Promote yourself to an hour of prayer. And then you can migrate into an all-night prayer. I want you to listen to me. No praying in the bedroom or in the house. No praying in the bedroom. Once you pray in the bedroom, after the bed, the next thing will be to pray on the bed. So no praying in the bedroom. No praying in the house. Because once you pray in the house, then you move into the bedroom. So no praying in the bedroom. No praying in the house. You can pray. Your prayers can be done in the church auditorium. It can be done in the church auditorium, church compound, or in an open park. In the church auditorium, church compound, or in an open park. If you're a member of Royal House Chapel, you have no reason to say that you don't have a place to pray. In Royal House Chapel, people come and can pray in the main auditorium. They can also pray in King David's temple, that is our children's auditorium. They can pray at the Judah temple, that is our teens auditorium. They can also pray in the Restoration Chapel, that is the French and International Ministry auditorium. They can pray at Glory Shed. They can pray at the Jesus Arena, that is our compound. They can pray at the East Wing. They can pray at the Upper Room Chapel, at the Judah Auditorium. So you see, we have so many places you can pray. If you want to pray in the auditorium, and you come and there's another group in the auditorium, or there's another couple in the auditorium, or there's another individual in the auditorium, and you want your privacy, you can go to Glory Shed. You can go to Oil Dome. Oil Dome is big. When you scream there, oh my God. And especially when you go up, hey, try it and see. Immediately you pray, it moves to heaven. I was there a few times to pray with Apostle General. Oh my God. Hey, where we had the AG at 60. Oh, immediately you pray, it moves. You pray, it climbs. Oh my God. You can feel the angels, you know. When you are jumping, how do you call it? They just pick your prayer. So there are so many places you can pray in Royal House Chapel. If you don't belong to Royal House Chapel and you belong to another church, you can pray in your church or in your auditorium or the compound of your auditorium, or you can look for a park and then pray. Not in your car, my darling. Not in your car. I know people who've held hands and they've prayed in their car, and after praying, something happened. No prayer hugs. Prayer hug. To give somebody a hug. People hug themselves and they are praying. My darling, it is not allowed. It is only a husband and a wife that can hug themselves and pray. If you are not a husband and a wife, don't attempt it. A lot of people look at Apostle General and I, and they ask us, how come we have such a marriage and we have a wonderful relationship? How come we've been able to marry for almost 34 years? My darling, the secret is that we sowed a lot of prayer into our relationship. I remember when we were courting. Oh, Legon Hall Chapel knows our name. I have registered my name. Our marriage was registered in Legon Hall Chapel. Because every week we started, when we started, it was I think once every month. We courted for about 2 years. Was it 2 or 3 years? Every month we will pray. And then we move to once every 2 months. And then getting to the time, every week we'll have an all night. Legon Hall Chapel. I remember one day we went to Legon Hall Chapel and there was a group there. Just around Legon Hall, in front of Central Cafeteria is a sports park. So right opposite Central Cafeteria, that is where we did our prayer that time. And then during the holidays, we sometimes also pray. There used to be a church, I think it's still there, right opposite Achimota School called UCC, United Calvary Church. Oh, that church also that church knows our name. And they know our relationship. When we were courting, they knew it, knew our marriage. And I'm sure the church wrote down our names. Every year is counting. And the angel of that church, not the pastor of that church, but I'm talking about the angels that take care of the place, just looked at us and said, these people, I will bless them. And said, these people, I will bless their marriage. I will give them 4 wonderful children. I will give them grandchildren. They will travel far in the marriage. So if you are courting and you haven't started personal prayers with your partner, my darling, you need to start. You can never enter into God's domain. Marriage was created by God. You can't enter into God's domain without calling on his name. So if you are just about to start, you can start with the 30 minutes, then move to an hour. You can move to 2 hours. Now you can have half night or full night prayer, and it will help you. Number 6. Going to church. Number 6, going to church. What do you do during courtship? Going to church. Going to church is something you can do during courtship. If you belong to different churches, it is an opportunity to visit each other's church and find or have a feel of what the other church is like. Going to church, if you belong to different churches, is an opportunity to visit each other's church. If you are courting, you've courted 1 year, 2 years. Some people have courted for 6 years, and they have never entered into each other's church. My darling, I don't know where you are going with your relationship. I don't know where you are going with your relationship. If you belong to the same church, continue to encourage each other with church attendance. On Saturday evening, call each other, find out. Have you picked your dress for church? Have you ironed your dress? Have you cleaned your shoes? The gentleman, find out from the lady. Have you picked your bag? Have you picked your offering? Tell the person, it is end of month. I know you have been paid. Have you picked your tithe? It is very important, my darling. If you sit around the person during church service, find out, ask, look at it. When he's taking the offering, look at it. Is he taking red or blue or brown? What note is he taking, my darling? If that person can give to God, that person can give to you. If he's chiseled towards God, when he opened his bag or his purse, you saw it. He had a lot of new notes. And then he took the very old one CD, 2 CDs, and gave to God. 5 Ghana CDs and gave to God, my darling. That person will be chiseled towards you. So, encourage each other with church attendance. Sunday morning, call his phone early and say, don't be late to church. Tell the person, I'm already at the gate waiting for you. Or I have entered the auditorium and I have reserved a seat for you. Number seven, get involved with church activities together. Number 6 is going to church. Number 7, get involved with church activities together. Church conventions. Be part of it together. Church revivals. What do you do during courtship, my darling? This is what makes the courtship sweet. Attending conventions together. Attending revivals together. Prayer and fasting in Royal House Chapel, week of the altar. Attend together. Stand by him, stand by her. And see if she's prayerful or he's prayerful. If from the beginning he's not prayerful, encourage the person. Say it will be well. Our children will need a lot of prayer. When our children start school, they will need prayer. You tell the lady, Charlie, I will need prayer to succeed. You tell the gentleman, when I'm pregnant, I will need a lot of prayer. So start building your prayer life now. Get involved with church activities in Royal House Chapel. We have party for the underprivileged. Get involved together. During programs like Convention of Saints, you can volunteer together to be ushers. You are not ushers already. But for a program like Convention of Saints, you can volunteer and say, both of us, we are going to help the ushering department, or we are going to help the protocol department, or we are taking days off from work. We want to help with, taking care of the guests. We want to help with driving around with the guests. It is important. This is courtship. During children's camp meeting, you can volunteer together to come and serve the children food. Sometimes on Thursdays, when you are off, both of you are off, you can volunteer to come and help the senior citizens, serve them. My darling, it is a blessing. It will go a long way. When we have prison ministry, we have outreach programs. You can volunteer to be part of the prison visitation or the outreach program. I hope somebody heard me. It is not just partying, my darling. It is not just partying. Watching unnecessary movies. We kissing. That after you have seen it, you want to practice it. My darling, that is not courtship. Number 8. What do you do during courtship? You can undertake a project together. You can undertake a project together. I didn't say build a house together. This is not what I am talking about. I didn't say go and open a bank account at Pastor Chief Appear's bank. Fidelity Bank. I didn't say go and open a bank account together. You can do it when you marry. Take a project together. What are some of the projects? Witnessing together. You've never heard witnessing. Talking to people about Jesus. You can do it together. You can do it on a Saturday when both of you are free, or Sunday after church. Go around your neighborhood. Talk to people about Jesus. Talk to people about the love of Jesus. My darling, it makes the relationship very sweet. Follow up on souls together. You witness to people. You can follow up on them and find out how they are doing. You can do visitations on church members. If you belong to 2 different groups, and within your groups, you haven't seen some of your members for a while, what you can do is to go on church visitation. After church on Sunday, visit them, pray with them, encourage them. If things are not okay, let them know things will be okay. Nothing is permanent. It is very important. Do visitations together. You can do hospital visitations together. Please listen to this one very well. Listen to this one very well. It is one reason why Apostle General and I are very successful. That is taking up a project together. Another thing you can do as courting partners, you can take up a poor person in the church. That is, if both of you have the means, you are working. At the end of the month, after paying your tithe and your offering, you can put some money outside and say, we want to help this child. Now, SSS is free. SSS is free. So if the person is in SSS, you can decide you want to invest in their books, invest in their school uniform, buy a shoe or a sandals for the person. You can buy provisions, groceries, 1 olonka of gari, half tin of sugar, 1 sachet of Milo, and then Nido. These days, shooter, they buy shooter in the shop. Buy 1 shooter, add 2 tins of sardine, 2 tins of mackerel. Invest in a life, invest in a soul. When Apostle General and I were courting, we didn't have money. If you look at me, we didn't have money. If you wanted the definition of poverty, you could see it in us. But the little money we had, we used to invest in people. I remember we picked 1 boy, looked for a school. So the school fees we've been paying, the scholarship project, we didn't start today. We started before we got married. We put our monies together. My money was more in those days anyway. And we paid the school fees of people. We bought school bags for people. We bought school uniform for people. We bought sandals for people. Sometimes when people were going to school, we would give them groceries. Don't wait to get a lot of money before you do it. If you are working, both of you are working, after paying your tithe and your offerings, you can do that. And this has been our story. We started before we got married. Even when we got married and we were living in some small kitchenette room, we adopted somebody in the compound house we were staying. The person had been out of school for about 4 years. We went to look for some Saito school. In those days, I've forgotten how much the school fees of Saito was. We paid his school fees, got him a school uniform, got him a school bag, got him school shoes. I'm sure there was some man sitting upstairs and said, these 2 people, if I give them money, they'll take care of the poor. So I will bless them with money. My darling, I am talking about a stage in our lives when providing or going for antenatal care was a problem. But anytime we got money, we invested in somebody. This particular guy that I was talking about, the one we got at school, anytime we cooked, we would give him some. We would leave some for him. So when it was time to pound fufu, he will pound for me. After we've eaten and I've finished cooking, he will come and take the dishes and watch for me. Sometimes when I was going to work, I would leave my keys. By the time I come, my small room as a kitchenette as a bedroom. We didn't have hall, nothing. He would have tidied up and laid our bed. And my darling, it is good to invest in lives. Number nine, Christian entertainment. Christian entertainment programs. If you have a pen and you are writing, underline it. Add ink to it. I said Christian entertainment program. You want to know what to do during courtship? Christian entertainment program. Worship and musical concerts. Moral praise. You can attend. MOG, new wine concert. You can attend together. Pastor Kofa's Ojashios praise. You can attend together. Pastor Jeffers, I mentioned new wine. Pastor Jeffers dual concert. You can attend together. Joyful way, explosion of joy. You can attend together. Joe Metals praise reloaded. You can attend together. Pastor Pa and Pastor Zita, I haven't heard your yearly programs. If I hear your yearly programs, I'll add it to it. Final warning. You can attend Christian drama like Ebo White. So you see, you can't have a boring life. Powerline TV will show a lot of Christian films. Because Powerline TV, you have to watch at home. What you do is you can invite other friends to join you watch a Christian movie over popcorn, kebab, and chilled malt. My darling, this is courtship. You can't tell me this is not courtship. This is courtship. When you are watching Powerline TV, I hear Powerline TV shows powerful Christian movies. And I hear some people even call their offices that there's a particular movie they want to watch it again. So they should show it again. My darling, if you are caught in, ask them to show it again. Come and get popcorn. Get kebab. Add soft drinks to it. Oh, if my husband was doing this, if there was Powerline in those days, and I was watching Powerline Christian movies over popcorn. Oh, or Keta schoolboys. In those days, we didn't have TV. Oh my God. My darling, you have no reason to say that you can't cook together, so courtship is boring. Courtship cannot be boring. With all the things I have said 9 things. The 10th one, dinner and lunches. You can go out for lunch and dinners. Listen, in either a restaurant or a chop bar, depending on your budget. If the guy is taking you out and doesn't have money to go to a restaurant and can take you to the kenke seller, my darling, it is part of courtship. If the guy can take you to where they sell omutuo, it is courtship. Sunday omutuo, oh my darling. Wache corner, my darling, it is courtship. It is courtship. So there's so much to do during courtship. Now we have KFC. They haven't done anything for me, but I'm promoting them. We have papaya. We have so much. Paloma. The woman that sells banku and adansoman, the one who comes to church. Dela Mawuli. Oh, you can visit Mawuli. Get a chair and a table over chilled water. Champion is not promoting me. Oh, champion promotes me. Oh, during AG 60, champion brought us food. My darling, you can go to champion. If you have 20 CDs, jollof rice at champion. Oh, you will eat her and take some home. 10 CDs. 10 CDs. You are set to go. Over a bottle of Coca-Cola, cacao cola. When you don't have money, it's cacao cola. When you get money, it's called Coke. And then my last point, I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but I can mention it, and then I will do it. What you should do during courtship, communication and conversations. Communication and conversations. Talk. What should you talk about? What should you talk about? Next week, we will go into what to talk about during courtship. We would also go into promising ring. Is it necessary? Is it necessary? Do you have to kneel down by all means and propose? Next week, do you buy a promise ring? Should you give a promise ring? During courtship, do you celebrate Valentine? Do you give a Valentine present? Do you give a birthday present? Do you give a Christmas present? My darling, we will go into it. In-law present. Mother's Day. Do you give something this Mother's Day? Mother's Day. Do you give in-law presents? Father's Day. Do you give Father's Day presents? Between the engagements or between knocking and engagement, what should be the spacing? Between engagement and the wedding, what should be the spacing? Make a date with me, same time next week, Family Life with Mama Rita. And we will look at what you should be discussing, your conversations, your talking, your communications. What are some of the things you should be discussing during courtship? Promising ring, kneeling down to propose. Is it important? Valentine's Day, should you celebrate it? Is it important to give a Valentine present? Knocking, engagement, and the wedding itself. What should be the gap in between them? God bless you, and I love you. With all these points, my darling, you can't have a boring courtship. You can't have a boring courtship. God bless you. We are going to break, and then we will come back with the questions. I will do just a few questions today, and then I will see. I don't know whether next week I will finish it up before we have the panel, or I will break it up with panel discussions, and then I will come back. I would see. But let's have a break, and then we will come back with question time.
Hello, lovely viewers. This is Powerline TV, and we are glad to bring to you Heal Our Land. God's word assures us, if my children who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn away from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and heal their land. Heal Our Land is going to be airing live on Powerline TV for the coming weeks on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. It's a program to bring you hope and assurance. The world is contending with a major force. The world is battling with a disease that we have no clue of getting solutions to it. But God gives us victory and solutions to every problem. The Apostle General Reverend Sam Kranchi Ankram, Mama Rita, his wonderful wife, and their wonderful sons and daughters will be gracing the studios and blessing us with revelations and giving us words to encourage us, to give us hope and faith in these trying moments, to help us overcome the fear of coronavirus or COVID-19. I know that you will be blessed. You'll be catching us live on Powerline TV on the same days, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 7 p.m. prompt. 1 hour time of revelation, 1 hour time of victory, 1 hour time with the Lord. It's going to be wonderful. I will be your host, Pastor Arnold Abraham, and you'll be catching us live on all the social media streaming platforms and on Powerline TV. Remember, Powerline TV, power to transform lives. And this is Heal Our Land.
Powerline ahwefo nyina nyame nhyira mu nyina Powerline TV edi dwumedie bi ebrewo ewo mu fiefie mu yato ne din se okristoni ene amamre okristoni woni mu amamre okristoni woni mu amane anase mpo se okristoni oye amane ne amamre siame dwade we ene dwade bia nonson pepepe na yenhia de wo Powerline TV so na obe yenhyira bebre nyame nhyira wo.
Welcome back to Family Life with Mama Rita. If you just joined us, we are looking at what to do during courtship. In the past few weeks, we've been doing what not to do during courtship. What not to do: no sex, no kissing, no opening of accounts together, no building a house together and all that. And then today we are looking at what to do during courtship. We are ready. Joining me is Pastor Chivape with the question time. Hey, people believe him. I got a call from America last week and the person said, hey, your guy is good. Charlie, I am keeping you. Even if they give you another role, I will keep you.
We thank all our listeners and our viewers for the wonderful comments coming. And mommy, there are a lot of people saying they are loving your dress. And you're looking awesome.
Thank you so much.
The comments on Facebook have been so
wow,
nice.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go quickly to our questions. Quite a lot of interesting ones. If you are joining us, this is Family Life series. You can be part of the conversation on Twitter and all other social platforms with the hashtag Family Life. Hashtag Family Life. We'll go straight to the first question. Mommy, this one says, please, good evening.
Good evening.
What is your position on pre-wedding photo shoot? We are planning for one and it looks interesting.
Like I said, some time ago, I would have said no. But well, things are changing. The trend is changing. We live in the 21st century and things are coming up. But please listen carefully to me. If you don't have the money, don't follow people blindly. Don't say because everybody is doing it, I would also have to do a photo shoot by all means. With or without a photo shoot, the wedding can be beautiful. With or without a photo shoot, the wedding will be powerful. With or without a photo shoot, the wedding can come on. People do photo shoots, and sometimes I don't really know or see what the photo shoot is used for. Sometimes they add it to their program. Sometimes they do banners. Please, if you have the money, why not? If you have parents who are supporting you, why not? If you have family members who are supporting, other senior or elder siblings who are supporting. In some families, when somebody is going to have a wedding, all the siblings will come together and contribute. Or this person says, I will take the gown. This person says, I will take the accommodation. This person says, I will buy you a car. This person says, I will take the drinks. This person says, I will take the buffet. My darling, if your salary is 1,000 and below, the man's salary is 1,000 and below, and you don't have people who are supporting, please keep the money. The money for the photo shoot can go into the pictures of the wedding. My husband and I, when we got married, for 6 months, we didn't have any photos because we couldn't. In those days, they'll give you they used to call it negative. They'll give you negative. For 6 months to a year, I think it even took about 2 years. By the time we went in to do the negatives, a lot of them were spots. We are still married for 34 years anyway. So few people who came with cameras and then took pictures are what we have. So if you have the money and you want to do it, why not? But please don't copy blindly. Don't do it because everybody is doing it. Don't go in for buffet because everybody is going in for buffet. I always say that I attended one wedding, and after the wedding they served kenke and sardine, and that was my best wedding. Kenke and sardine plus black pepper and red. Oh, that was my best wedding. I went to another wedding where there was no wedding cake, and it was oto, and it was a beautiful wedding. I went to another wedding where there was no wedding cake, and it was candles. They lighted candles. My darling, have your own style according to your pocket. Sew your wedding gown according to the money you have. Don't look at anybody. Don't follow anybody. If you follow people, you go into the wedding and you'll be hungry.
You haven't even paid your rent.
You haven't even paid your rent. Or you don't even know where you are going to stay after the wedding. You don't have money for rent. And you are thinking about photo shoots.
Five layer cake. See your head. Mommy, this question says, I'm loving this series, Mama Rita. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my darling.
A few weeks back, you mentioned sin offering for people courting who would have had fornication already. How does one determine an appropriate offering for such a purpose?
Oh, okay. Just like I mentioned earlier, it depends on your pockets. And it depends on how grievous your sin is. If you were doing it morning, afternoon, evening, 3 times daily, 4 times in a week, the lady comes to spend. The parents know she's in school. She's in Legon. She comes to spend the weekend with you. And that weekend, instead of praying all night, that all night is the sex session, my darling. If you can even give God all your salary, I'm telling you. So I won't say give God 200, give God 500. But it depends on how much you think you have sinned, number 1. Number 2, how much you think you appreciate God and you know God. I would not mind for a sin like that, giving up my whole salary. I mean, I can do it. Or if you can give half your salary, and then the lady also gives half her salary, put it together, or a percentage of your salary, and say, we are giving to God. God, erase our sin. Let us have a clean page and start afresh with us. I'm telling you, I always say that there are primary virgins, there are secondary virgins, and there are tertiary virgins. Secondary virgins, you have had sex already, but you listen to messages like this and you decide, I will never have sex again until my wedding day. My darling, on your wedding day, you will bleed like somebody who's never had sex.
Thank you very much, Mommy. This one says, this is from Emeka from Lagos, Nigeria.
Wow.
It says, my wife is so hot-tempered, very jealous and can sometimes get physical. What should I do? Kindly assist me.
My darling, you need a counselor. It will be very difficult to say do A, B, C, D. You need a very good counselor. If your pastor is a very matured person, go and see your pastor. And I want you to know that with what you are telling me, the change might not be in a day. So when you go through counseling, exercise a bit of patience and then add prayer to it. I believe that if you pray, the Lord will break her down. And then if you get senior people or your counselors or your pastors coming in to talk to both of you, I believe that God would solve the issue for you.
Mommy, this one says, please, I am watching you live from Ejura.
Wow.
I am 36 years. And I want to date a young lady who is 20 years old.
Oh my
I am
God.
16 years older, Mommy, and we have feelings for each other. What should I do? Can I go ahead and marry her?
My darling, 20 years, she's too young. You would have to wait a bit. And waiting a bit means that you are getting older. You are 36. There are people who are 25 who are not married. There are people who are 27 who are not married. There are people who are 30 who are not married. Please go for your size.
Well, Mommy, this one says, of all the things you mentioned that we can do, Mommy, you didn't talk about beaches. Can we go to the beach?
When you go to the beach, number one, yes, you can swim. But what is she going to wear to swim? When you go outside the country, they've seen their nakedness so many times that a man can see somebody in swimming costume and nothing will happen. But in Ghana, we don't see too many of these things. So if the lady goes in swimming costume, if you are not careful. Last week I was listening to a program and there was a question time. And the person said, oh, when he calls, they have long distance relationship. And when he even calls the lady,
Telepathic movement.
oh,
Emotional constituency.
oh,
Jesus Christ.
Osofo. So, going to the beach, I don't know, what is she going to wear? Even if she's wearing shorts and top, remember that she will swim, she will get wet. The top might stick to her skin. You might see the nipples of the woman.
It's called X-ray view.
It's called X-ray review. Oh, okay. I didn't know about that. So number two, if you go to the beach to swim, I hope you won't be holding each other, or when the sea waves are coming, you want to lift her up like we used to do in our days in the Catholic Church. Easter Monday, we will go to the beach and, so you need to be careful about all these things. If you go in a group, the church's youth group is going and you are going, or the prayer group is going and you are all going. Rosa with their pastor and you are all going, it is fine. But if it's just the two of you, it can be a bit tempting.
Thank you very much, Mommy. This one says, good evening. Please, I've married for almost 6 years.
Or unless you are going to the beach to pray. If you are going to the beach to pray, it's another place you can also go and pray. Walk around the seashore and then pray. I have done it several times because of where I used to live, and it was very good. So if you want to go and pray, but if you want to go and swim, let it be in the group.
Thank you. This one says, good evening, Mommy. Please,
good evening.
I am married for almost 6 years. We are blessed with 2 kids. My husband cheated and I caught him, and because of that, I don't trust him anymore. Recently, he got transferred to Takwa for work, and I am living in Cape Coast and also working. We used to talk on phone for hours, but now He hardly answers my calls.
Wow.
I call in the morning, afternoon, evening. He wouldn't pick. The few times when he picks by mistake or chance, he will respond and say he has been very busy. Mommy, please, what should I do? I feel I'm losing my marriage.
My darling, I always say that you can't overemphasize prayer. I have seen prayer, and I have seen prayer, and I have heard prayer, and I have seen God answer prayer. Honestly, what prayer can do, talking will not do it, nagging will not do it, complaining will not do it, even reporting him to people will not do it. Prayer. 2 weeks ago, I heard this story, Pastor Chifape. I fell in love with the story. A couple who are in courtship, came to see me. They've started counseling and they want to know the next move. So I was probing into their backgrounds and into their families and all that. This guy who came to see me with a fiancée, a lady, is a stepchild.
Okay.
The father didn't marry the mother. The father married another person. Had 2 children with his stepmom. If you are listening to me, listen carefully. Had 2 children with a stepmom. After the 2 children, the father brought him into the marriage. So he was the step and he was the firstborn. And then the stepmom had 2 children. They were there when the father had another child with another woman. So there were 4. His stepmom went for this 4th child. They were there when the father had a 5th child with another woman. This is a true story. This woman went for that child too. And according to this gentleman, she's never seen a woman like that before. Wow. Their stepmom put them together as siblings, took very good care of them. When you come to the house, everybody knows this is the firstborn, this is the secondborn, this is the 3rd, this is the 4th, this is the 5th. There was nothing like the first one is my stepchild, the 2nd and the 3rd is my own child, the 4th. After the 5th child, now the man said, listen, I now want to marry somebody in addition to you. I hear the woman didn't say anything. All she did was to go into her closet and prayed and prayed and prayed and reported the case to her pastor. The man wasn't going to church at the time. Reported the case to the pastor. Her pastor joined hands with her and prayed and said, we cancel it. You will be the only wife, taking care of your 5 children. True to the prayer. The man couldn't marry anybody else. The man woke up one day and said, what kind of God do you serve? The following Sunday, after the man said that, the man followed the woman to church. Today, the man is a marriage counselor with a Baptist church. So, you see, I know it is difficult. The man cheated. It is difficult to trust. But ask God to take away the pain. Ask God to take away the bitterness. Ask God to help you to trust Him. And then the next thing that I teach women, you are in Cape Coast, He's in Takwa. You can send for the Lord into Takwa. You can send for the blood of Jesus into Takwa and say, God, if my husband meets any woman, let there be light off, and there shall be light off. My darling, he will never have an erection. He would only have an erection when he meets you. You can put a padlock. That thing is yours. That thing, that pencil, it is yours. You can command that pencil when to rise and when not to rise.
It's your own pen drive.
It's your own pen drive. You can decide when to use it. And I'm telling you, if you pray this prayer genuinely, God would answer. And this woman that you are talking to me, wherever you are, I lift you up before God, that you would never lose your marriage. I cancel divorce.
Yes,
if there is any woman in the life of the man, I bring enmity between your husband and the other woman. That marriage is yours and yours alone. The man will come back to you. He will begin to pick your calls. He will begin to call you. He will say, what happened to me? Your marriage will be sweet one more time in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Mommy. And I can see several people tapping into this prayer and believing it, knowing that it's going to work for them. Somebody say a big amen wherever you are.
Amen.
This one says, hi, good evening, Mommy. I have been married for 4 years. When I got married to my wife, she was not working. I have given her money to set up a business, but she collapsed the business twice. I have called her many times in the presence of other elderly people, but anytime I give her money, she just squanders it. Now, the last money I gave her to set up another business, she tells me the items are with her friend. I have told her to bring the money, but she doesn't want to pay attention to me. I have made up my mind. I'm not going to help my wife anymore. Is this a right decision? What should I do, Mommy?
It's not the right decision. I believe that business or selling things is not your wife. That is not her. Find out what she can do. Maybe she needs to work somewhere, or she needs to work under somebody. I remember there's somebody who kept coming to my husband and I for money. Every time will come to my husband and I. Anytime we give her money, we don't know what happens to the business. The business will collapse. She will come back, So what we did was we got somebody who was also into business and asked her to go and work with a person, understudy that person. And she worked with that person for set her up again, and she's doing maybe she gets into friends and she's giving things to the friends and all that. So that is your wife. You can't say you won't help her. But maybe what you can do now is that don't give her any more money. Whatever you want her to do, somebody else is doing that. Let her join the person, or somebody who is big in business. Let her join the person, work with that person, understudy the person, and then mature. If she's working and they are putting salary in her hands every month, she will learn how to take good care of money. So let her mature a bit. After she's matured and she's learned the trade very well, she's learned the business well, now you can set her up in the business. But don't collect the money back, because you won't have any money to collect.
Thank you very much, Mommy. This one is quite confusing, but I think I'll read it. It says, hi, Mom. I'm Raymond from Liberia, and I'm watching you at the moment. I am not understanding my relationship at all. I need someone who will understand me. Please pray for me. So he says he doesn't understand his relationship. I don't know how.
Maybe I need a bit of explanation. I don't know why you don't understand your relationship. I don't know if you mean you don't understand the lady, or I don't know. But when I am done, I will pray for you that God will help you understand your relationship.
So Raymond from Liberia.
You will
get understanding very soon. This one says, I'm watching from Takra. The Mommy, I want to know if having a blowjob on your husband is a sin, because my husband likes it, but I'm not too comfortable because I don't know if it's right or wrong. Please help me.
During the red flags, Was it no, when I was
Things
dealing
not to
with
do.
things not to do during courtship, I mentioned blowjob. And I said that when it comes to married people, it is not a sin. When it comes to married people, it is not a sin. But then, if there's something that you want and your husband is not comfortable with it, you shouldn't force your husband. In the same way, if your husband wants it, but you are not comfortable with it, your husband shouldn't force you. But if you are not doing it just because you feel it's a sin, I want you to know that it is not a sin. The only thing is that before you do it, the man should have had his bath. He should have cleaned the place very well, because that area can collect a lot of germs. So once he's cleaned the place very well, he's bathed very well, the place is very clean, and it is not a sin, and you think you are comfortable with it, why not? But after I've told you it is not sinful, if you still don't feel comfortable, tell your husband not to force you. But I want you to know that it's not a sin.
Thank you. Mommy, this one says, I already feel like I can marry tomorrow with all the wisdom that we have received tonight.
Thank
God
God.
richly bless you.
Thank you.
He says, I want to ask, I am a very chatty person, but my boyfriend is very quiet, and I find it difficult to cope. I feel he's not interested in any conversation, and sometimes I even feel like a nuisance when I'm talking to him. Please, what can we do? Or the relationship is not going to work?
We have what we call introverts, and we have what we call the extroverts. The extroverts are the outgoing types. They can talk and talk and talk and talk and not swallow saliva. My mom said when I was a kid, I can talk and not swallow saliva. But there are others who also don't like talking. They don't like to talk. But if you are in a relationship with him and you love him and he loves you, and you have prayed and you think that God is leading you to marry, what you do is you come up with interesting things that will be of interest to him. Maybe some of the things that you've been talking about are not things that interest him. You come home and you are talking about the saloon, and you are talking about some Aki and Pompo you watched, or Chewa part 1, part 2, and he's just not interested in it. Find out. I know people who don't talk, they don't like to talk, but if you get a topic they enjoy, if he enjoys watching CNN, if he enjoys watching football,
Chelsea,
I didn't mention Chelsea, all I mentioned was football. And why wouldn't you mention my son's
Man United.
Man United.
Oh, we know they'll finish sit on the table this year. We thank God for their lives.
So find out what he likes. If it's football, if it's watching CNN, if he's watching BBC, whatever it is. Certainly everybody has something he likes. So if you get what he likes, you can talk to him in that area. And then little by little, I believe that you will pick up. Some people don't like to talk, but they are very good listeners. They don't mind if you can talk for an hour. They will listen and listen carefully. And then once in a while, they'll chip in a little. It's not like they are not interested in the conversation. They are, except that they have just few words. But you would have to bring out a conversation out of him. Find out what he likes to talk about, and then talk about that area.
Thank you. We'll take about 2 or 3 more questions.
Maybe 2.
2, all right. This is the Family Life series. Get talking, get chatting, get engaged with the conversation ongoing. # Family Life series. This question says, good evening, Mommy.
Good
Please,
evening.
I'm in a relationship with a lady who has helped me a lot financially. I really want to work for God as a pastor. But anytime we meet, she wants to have romance. This attitude has happened for a long time, and I feel like quitting because I don't feel right about this. However, as many times as I've tried to quit, I always remember all the very good things she's done for me. What should I do? I'm confused. Please help me, Mommy.
I think you haven't made her understand very well. Let her understand your standing with God. It's not just about you being a pastor. It's not about you being a pastor. If you say because you want to be a pastor, so you won't have a romance, you won't do all the things she wants to do, then she will say that, oh, being a pastor's wife, after all, is a boring thing. Let her understand your relationship with God and your relationship with Jesus Christ. You are doing this because you think it is sinful. And because it is sinful, you don't want to do it. Number two, let her understand that you don't want to do it because you want the blessing of the Lord upon your relationship. And you think that if you do these things, number one, like I thought, there won't be trust. You won't enter into the relationship with the blessing of the Lord. You know, all that. So sometimes it's just a matter of communication. After you have said all these things, if she still doesn't listen, then maybe you have to put a hold on the relationship. And then this is what I want to tell everybody who is listening. If you think that your relationship is becoming sinful and you love each other, you think that God wants you to get married, but anytime you meet each other, you don't plan it, but by the time you realize you've done something bad, and then you keep regretting and feeling bad and feeling sorrowful and all that, what you do is you put a break to your relationship. Maybe the two of you are not too matured to go through courtship and all that, so put a bit of a hold, and then when you are ready to marry, then you can start a relationship. Marriage and courtship is not for boys and girls. It's for matured people. So you need to be mature to enter into a relationship. So sit her down and then talk to her. Let her understand how sinful it is. And because you don't want to sin against God, you don't want to do it. Number two, you want to be holy before God. Number three, you want to enter into the relationship with trust. Number five, you want to enter into the relationship with the blessing of the Lord. We will take the last question,
yes,
and we'll be done. If I don't answer your question, don't worry, I will come your way again next week. And then, like I said, after every episode or every season, I will come with a panel discussion. I will come with seasoned counselors.
Today we had a lot of people sending messages from various West African countries.
Wow.
Liberia, Sierra Leone, Cameroon, Nigeria.
Wow.
A lot of people.
So like I said, I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can break a bit and then we'll do the panel discussion and then I will continue. Or I will continue and then we'll come back with a panel discussion. I'll see what I can do.
All right, Mommy. So please, the final question for tonight's episode says, please, I'm in a relationship with a young man whom I'm in love with so much. However, he is newly divorced and has a child. What is your advice? Because though I am willing to go into this marriage, my parents are strongly against it, basically because of his previous marriage and the fact that the baby and the ex-wife may be a complication. Kindly advise me.
Okay, so with this one, again, I would say you need counseling. There's nothing wrong with getting married to a divorced person. There's nothing absolutely wrong with it. There's also nothing wrong with marrying somebody who already has a child. But then you need counselors or a pastor or something to go into why a divorce came in the first place. maybe he cheated on his wife, or maybe, there must be something. We've handled so many cases here where the people got married to divorcees. They didn't allow us to go into the case very well, and then they jumped ahead and they married the people. Today, when they see us, they say, oh, I should have listened to you. So I wouldn't say it is wrong, but what you have to do is you need people to do a background check on the guy to find out why the divorce. Maybe he's a troublesome person, maybe he's a cheat, maybe he's a woman beater, maybe something. But if you go through all these things, they do proper background check, and they think that he's clean and you can get married, it is fine. The second thing is, after a divorce, he needs time to heal. He needs time to heal. We have seen people who got divorced and then married again. Meanwhile, they hadn't gotten over the first lady, or they hadn't gotten over the first husband, and they kept going back and forth with their ex. That is why the exes keep coming in all the time. So number one, there must be a background check. Number two, you have to make sure that the man has healed very well and has gotten over the first wife very, very well, and there are no excess baggages. And then the third thing is, you need to go through proper counseling. Even after he's healed, after the background check, you need to go through proper counseling. It's been discovered that people who are not afraid to divorce the first wife or the first husband are never afraid to do a second divorce, a third divorce, a fourth divorce. But I believe that if there's proper counseling, where they go into it very well and counsel you very well, why not? You can get married and have a beautiful marriage, have a peaceful marriage, and have a loving marriage. Thank you so much for live streaming with us, or for meeting me on Powerline TV and Sam Crunchy on YouTube, or Sam Crunchy on Facebook. Thank you so much, and God bless you. I'm going to come your way again same time next week with Family Life with Mama Rita. There's so much we'll be discussing next week, and like I said, I'm not too sure whether next week I want to break and do a question time with a panel, or just finish it up and then do the panel. I'm going to discuss with my boss, and I think you know who my boss is. My boss is the Apostle General, my husband. So we will look at it and then decide. But I'll be coming your way same time next week, either with conversations and then communication, talking and chatting. What do you talk about? We will look at that. Number two, promising ring. Giving you a ring during courtship, is it necessary? Kneeling down and proposing to you, is it necessary? Lying on the floor, is it necessary? Going to the mall to propose to you, or to the mountain top to propose to you, or with a helicopter in the air? You be in the air when the devil gets angry. So we will look at all that. Knocking, engagement, and then the wedding. What should be the gaps between them? I will come your way next week with Family Life series. God bless you, and I love you. And for everybody that is confused in your relationship, I pray that God will come through for you. Anybody that is confused, you don't know what to do, may the Lord speak to you now in the name of Jesus. Anybody that is married but having pain, hurt, bitterness, crying, May the Lord bring you an answer. May you be happy. May the Lord wipe your tears. May the Lord place laughter in your mouth. At this time, I want to pray for somebody who has been married, and all you are looking for is the fruitfulness of the womb. May the Lord, I pray that may the Lord bring you a visitation. Like Hannah, you would laugh, and others who hear your story and your testimony will laugh with you. God bless you. Tomorrow we are continuing with Heal Our Land with Pastor Arnold Abraham. And then on Friday, miracle service with the Apostle General. The kind of miracles and the kind of testimonies we are having is mind-blowing. If you haven't started joining us on Fridays, please join us, and then your life will never be the same. Saturday at 3 p.m., we have the, how do you call the program, with the teens? Teenspiration. Saturday, 3 p.m., Teenspiration. And then at 7 on Saturday, I do a live program on the IG. If there are any other questions you would want to ask me, you can follow me, Mama Rita, on Instagram. And then we treat topics. It's not just marriage. We have treated godparents. We have treated cutting of cake. Coming Saturday, I think I'm dealing with your wardrobe. What should you have in your wardrobe by all means? If you don't have money, what are the necessities that you must have? We will talk about it coming Saturday. And then Sunday, 3 p.m. is Bible Land. Is it Bible Land? Bible Land with the children. I watched last week with Pastor Nana Kosuya Kranchiankra, and it was something else. I loved it, and I just felt like being a Sunday school teacher one more time, or being a Sunday school kid myself. I really, really had fun. Make a date with us Saturday, 3 p.m. with the teens, and then Sunday at 3 p.m. with Bible Land. God bless you. Stay blessed in the name of Jesus.
worshipers surrounding his throne. We join with them now, crying, holy, holy is the Lamb, the Lord. I see the Lord, I see the Lord, exalted high above the worship of the people of the earth. I see the Lord, I see the Lord. My eyes have seen the King, the Lamb upon the throne, who reigns forever. I see the Lord, I see the Lord, exalted high above the worship of the people of the earth. I see the Lord, I see the Lord. My eyes have seen the King, the Lamb upon the throne, who reigns
Come on, put your hands together for Jesus in this place. Sing hallelujah.
hallelujah.
Salvation and glory